You are sitting in your car. The engine is off. The house is dark. You've been home for 10 minutes, but you haven't moved. You are staring through the windshield at nothing in particular, just the blur of a street lamp against the darkness. You aren't sad. You aren't panicked. You are feeling something far worse, something you have been too terrified to put into words until this exact second. You are feeling the colossal weight of a promise that was broken. You did everything they told you to do. You followed the script. You were the good student. You were the polite employee. You waited your turn. You swallowed your anger when people disrespected you because you were told that being the bigger person was the victory. You played by the rules of the game. And here you are, sitting in the dark, realizing that the prize you were promised, the satisfaction, the meaning, the sense of arrival, isn't there. It never was. This is the first comfortable lie you need to tear out of your chest. The belief that the purpose of life is a transaction. You have been operating under a covert contract with the universe. You believe that if you input good behavior, the universe is obligated to output happiness. You think that if you are harmless, you will be safe. You think that if you are honest, you will be rewarded. Look at the evidence. Look at the effective truth of your life right now. Think about that promotion you missed. You were the most qualified. You worked the hardest. You stayed late. But the person who got it wasn't the hard worker. They were the loud one. The one who knew how to schmooze the boss. The one who took credit for your ideas. The one who wasn't afraid to step on your neck to get a slightly better view. And what did you do? You went home. You complained to your partner or your friend. You said, "It's not fair." You told yourself that eventually they would fail. Eventually, the truth would come out. You comforted yourself with the idea that you kept your integrity. But deep down, in that pit of your stomach that never quite settles, you know the truth. They won. You lost. This is the real purpose of life staring you in the face, and you are blinking. You are refusing to see it because it terrifies you. The 99%, the herd, the masses, the people you are desperately trying to remain part of, they believe the purpose of life is to find a state of permanent comfort. They think the goal is to reach a point where the struggle ends. So you sedate yourself. You scroll for hours. You watch other people living. You live vicariously through characters in movies who do the things you are too afraid to do. You watch the bad guy in the film, the ruthless one, the powerful one, and you tell yourself you hate him. But notice your heart rate. Notice the fascination. You don't hate him. You envy him. You envy his agency. You envy the fact that he imposes his will on the world, while the world imposes its will on you. You are suffering from a poisoning of the mind. It's a poison called moral victory. It's the story losers tell themselves to feel superior to the winners. You tell yourself you are better than them because you didn't cheat. But Machiavelli would look at you, sitting in that car, paralyzed by your own goodness, and he wouldn't see a moral man. He would see a victim waiting to happen. The real purpose of life is not what 99% think it is. It isn't about being good in a vacuum. It isn't about following a set of invisible rules that nobody else is playing by. You feel empty because you are trying to win a boxing match by reciting poetry. You are bringing morality to a power struggle. Think about the last time you wanted something. Really wanted it. Maybe it was a person. Maybe it was a number in your bank account. Maybe it was just for someone to stop interrupting you. You didn't demand it. You didn't strategize for it. You hoped for it. You hinted at it. You tried to be worthy of it. And when you didn't get it, you retreated. You told yourself, "It wasn't meant to be." That phrase alone is the cage you have built for yourself. It wasn't meant to be. It is the ultimate abdication of your purpose. It is you admitting that you are a leaf in the wind, drifting wherever the breeze decides to take you. The 99% live in a world of should. People should be kind. Hard work should pay off. The truth should matter. But the real purpose of life, the one Machiavelli saw centuries ago, has nothing to do with how the world should be. It is entirely focused on how the world actually is. And right now, your world is small. It is shrinking. It is defined by what you are afraid to do. You are standing on the edge of your own life, watching it happen to you, waiting for permission to participate. You are waiting for someone to hand you a purpose wrapped in a bow. You are waiting for the universe to acknowledge your sacrifice. Pause. Stop waiting. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is keeping score of your silent sacrifices. The universe is not a schoolteacher grading your behavior. It is a chaotic, indifferent storm. And you have spent your entire life believing that if you stand very, very still, the storm won't touch you. That emptiness you feel, that isn't depression. That is the feeling of your own potential rotting inside you. It is the friction between the predator you need to be and the prey you have allowed yourself to become. The real purpose of life is not a discovery you make on a mountaintop. It is not a feeling of bliss. It is a war. And you have been showing up to the battlefield without a weapon, wondering why you keep getting slaughtered. You think you are civilized. You think you are enlightened. But you are just harmless. And in the eyes of history, in the eyes of reality, there is no difference between a man who cannot hurt others and a man who will not protect himself. The deception ends now. You are not tired. You are not confused. You are defeated. You are defeated because you are playing a game you don't understand, against opponents you refuse to acknowledge, for a prize that doesn't exist. You need to look at the wreckage of your good intentions. You need to look at the opportunities you let slip through your fingers because you were too polite to grab them. You need to feel the burn of that regret. Don't push it away. Don't meditate it away. Let it burn. Because that pain is the only real thing you have felt in years. That pain is the signal. It is telling you that the map you were given is wrong. The compass is broken. And the path the 99% are walking, the path of safety, of mediocrity, of finding yourself, leads nowhere. You are about to see the pattern. You are about to see exactly how you were programmed to lose. You know the feeling. It's that specific, hollow ache in your chest when you realize history is repeating itself. It's not a new pain. It's a familiar one. It's the soundtrack of your life. Let's look at the pattern. Let's look at the evidence you've been ignoring because it hurts too much to acknowledge. Rewind to the meeting room. You remember the project. You spent 3 weeks grinding on the data. You fixed the errors the others missed. You stayed late while they went to happy hour, telling yourself that results speak for themselves. You built the deck. You prepared the logic. And then the meeting starts. You're sitting there, waiting for your moment. But before you can open your mouth, he speaks up. The colleague who did 10% of the work. He leans back in his chair. He's relaxed. He gestures vaguely at the screen, at your work, and he says, "So, what we found here is..." He uses the word "we" like a shield. He appropriates your labor in real time. And what do? Watch yourself in that memory. You freeze. You feel the spike of adrenaline, the urge to interrupt, to say, "Actually, I did that." But then the old programming kicks in. You think, "Don't be petty. Don't cause a scene. The boss knows. The boss saw the timestamps. If I speak up, I look difficult." So you nod. You smile that tight, painful smile. You let him take the win. You walk out of that room thinking you took the high road. You didn't. You just signaled to every predator in that room that you are food. You taught them that your labor is free for the taking. You think you were being professional. They think you are weak. Shift the scene. You're at dinner with a friend, or maybe a partner. You're the listener. You're always the listener. They are unloading on you, complaining about their life, their bad decisions, the drama they created. You sit there, nodding, absorbing their stress. You offer thoughtful advice. You validate their feelings. You pour your energy into them like water into a cracked cup. You are waiting for the turn. You are waiting for the moment they stop and say, "But enough about me. How are you? How is your struggle?" But the turn never comes. They check their phone. They say, "I gotta run." And they leave. You are left with the check and the emotional hangover. And what do you tell yourself? I'm a good friend. I'm supportive. Wrong. You are an emotional dumpster. You have made yourself a utility. You believe that if you give enough, eventually you will be given to. But the pattern shows you the opposite. The more you give without condition, the less you are valued. You are creating a dynamic where your needs are invisible because you never force anyone to look at them. One more scene. The most painful one. You are in a conflict. Someone has crossed a line. Maybe they spoke to you with a tone of disrespect in front of others. Maybe they canceled on you last minute for the third time. You write the text message. You type out exactly how you feel. You are angry. You are righteous. You type, "That was really disrespectful, and I'm not okay with it." But you don't hit send. You look at the words. You start to worry. Is this too harsh? Will they get mad? Will they leave? So you delete it. You rewrite it. You soften the edges. You add a haha or a no worries. You add an emoji to dull the blade. You send a version of the truth that has been diluted until it tastes like water. "Hey, no worries about yesterday. Maybe next time." You just apologized for being disrespected. Do you see the thread connecting these moments? It is the graveyard of your good intentions. In every single instance, you had a choice between being effective and being nice. And every single time, you chose nice. You are operating on a broken algorithm. You think, if I minimize my threat level, I maximize my safety. But the world doesn't work that way. Machiavelli warned us about this centuries ago. He wrote that a man who wishes to act entirely up to his professions of virtue soon meets with what destroys him among so much that is evil. He wasn't saying you should be evil. He was telling you the mechanics of the machine. If you act like a saint in a world of sharks, you don't get a halo. You get eaten. You think these moments are accidents. You think you just have bad luck with bosses or bad luck with friends. It is not luck. It is a system you are upholding. You are the common denominator. You are the one who stays silent. You are the one who overgives. You are the one who dilutes your truth. You are the one teaching the world exactly how to mistreat you. And here is the hardest part to swallow. You do it because it feels safe. It feels safe to be the victim. When you are the victim, you don't have to take action. You can just complain. You can tell yourself the story that you are a misunderstood martyr. But look at the cost. Look at the resentment rotting in your gut. That resentment is the effective truth of your strategy. Your strategy of being good has resulted in you being used, overlooked, and silenced. If the purpose of your life was to be a doormat, you are succeeding brilliantly. But if you suspect, even for a second, that you were meant for something more than being a background character in other people's movies, then you have to admit that your current operating system is fatal. You are waiting for the world to change. You are waiting for the boss to notice, the friend to care, the partner to respect you. They won't. Why should they? You have given them no reason to. You have shown them that there is no cost to disrespecting you. You have shown them that your no can be turned into a yes with enough pressure. You have shown them that you will accept the scraps. This is the pattern. It loops. It repeats. It grinds you down year after year until you forget who you were before you started compromising. And it will continue until the day you die, unless you decide to break the machine. This is the moment where we stop pretending. This is the moment where you have to look at the scoreboard. You have spent years telling yourself that you are the protagonist of a drama about a good person waiting for justice. You view your life as a movie where the third act hasn't happened yet. You think the music is going to swell, the camera is going to pan around you, and everything is going to make sense. But look at the scoreboard. Look at the effective truth of your existence. Niccolo Machiavelli had a specific term for the delusion you are living in. He called it the imagined republic. He wrote that many have imagined republics and principalities which have never been seen or known to exist in reality. He was talking about people who live in the world as they wish it was, rather than the world as it is. This is exactly what the real purpose of life means in the Machiavellian sense. It means stripping away the paint. It means looking at the structure. You are frustrated because you are trying to navigate London using a map of Narnia. You walk into your office, or your relationship, or your family gathering, and you operate based on the rules of your imagined republic. In your imagined republic, people are rational. In your imagined republic, sacrifice is noticed. In your imagined republic, the quiet ones are the deep ones. But then you slam into the concrete wall of the real world. In the real world, people are driven by self-interest, fear, and ego. In the real world, if you don't announce your value, you have no value. In the real world, the quiet ones are forgotten. The gut punch realization isn't that the world is bad. It's that the world is indifferent to your hallucinations. Every time you felt that stab of betrayal, every time you felt used, it wasn't because people are monsters. It was because you were projecting your fantasy onto them. You were handing a loaded gun to someone and expecting them not to shoot you because you wouldn't shoot them. That isn't virtue. That is negligence. Read that again. You think your niceness is a gift. The uncomfortable truth is that your niceness is a burden you place on other people. You are passive-aggressively demanding that they read your mind. You are expecting them to regulate your boundaries for you because you are too cowardly to do it yourself. When you don't say no, you aren't being kind. You are lying. You are saying yes when you mean no, and then you resent them for believing you. This is the cycle. This is why the pattern repeats. You aren't a victim of toxic people. You are the supplier. You are the one putting the free sample sign on your time, your energy, and your dignity. And then you act shocked when people take it. The real purpose of life has nothing to do with your internal emotional state. It has nothing to do with finding your bliss. Machiavelli teaches us that the purpose of life is to engage effectively with reality, to mold it, to shape it. If your life is a series of accidents happening to you, you have no purpose. You are debris. This hurts to hear. I know it does. It burns because it dissolves the one defense mechanism you have left, your moral superiority. You love feeling morally superior. It's the consolation prize for losing. You tell yourself, well, at least I didn't stoop to their level. Pause. What if their level is just reality? What if their level is just the acknowledgement that power dynamics exist, that leverage exists, that human nature is flawed and greedy? By refusing to stoop, you aren't being holy. You are being irrelevant. You are standing on the sidelines of the game of life, arms crossed, refusing to play because you don't like the rules. But the game goes on without you. The promotions get handed out. The relationships get built. The world gets built. And it is built by the people who are willing to get their hands dirty. The reason you feel empty is that you know, deep down, that you are capable of being a player. You know you have the intelligence. You know you have the potential. But you are paralyzed by the fear that if you actually try to impose your will on the world, you might fail. So you choose the moral failure of not trying over the actual failure of trying and missing. This is the definition of a wasted life. You have been waiting for the world to become safe enough for you to come out of your shell. It never will be. The specific dynamic of the real purpose of life requires you to accept that conflict is not an error in the system. Conflict is the system. The friction you feel, that isn't a sign something is wrong. That is the texture of reality. You have to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how did I allow this to happen? The moment you switch that question, the imagined republic dissolves. The map of Narnia burns up. You are standing in the mud. It's cold. It's dirty. But for the first time in your life, you are standing on solid ground. And only from solid ground can you actually build something. You have been sold a soft, sanitized version of purpose. You've been told it's about alignment, about vibration, about the universe holding you in its palm. Let's tear that down and look at the foundation of reality as described by the man who understood power better than anyone in history, Niccolo Machiavelli. He didn't care about your feelings. He cared about mechanics. And the mechanic of your life comes down to two opposing forces. If you don't understand them, you will drown in them. The first force is Fortuna. Don't mistake this for good luck. Fortuna is not a lady smiling at you. Fortuna is a raging, chaotic river. It is cancer diagnoses. It is market crashes. It is your partner falling out of love with you on a Tuesday morning. It is the rain that ruins your wedding. It is the sheer, brutal randomness of existence that destroys plans without mercy. Machiavelli said that Fortuna controls about half of our actions. The other half, that belongs to you. That brings us to the second force, the force you are lacking. Virtue. Stop. Do not confuse this with the modern word virtue. It has nothing to do with being a good boy. It has nothing to do with morality or piety. Virtue, in the original sense, comes from the Latin vir, man. It means prowess. It means capability. It means the raw, aggressive will to impose order onto chaos. It is the energy of the architect who looks at a swamp and builds a city. It is the energy of the general who looks at a losing battle and turns the tide. Here is the psychological foundation of your emptiness. You have surrendered your virtue to Fortuna. You are living 100% at the mercy of the river. When the economy is bad, you say, well, I guess I can't find a job. That is Fortuna owning you. When people treat you poorly, you say, why are they so mean? That is Fortuna owning you. When you feel unmotivated, you say, I'm just not feeling it today. That is Fortuna owning you. You treat your own moods, your own circumstances, and other people's behavior as whether you just have to endure. You are driftwood. You float downstream, bumping into rocks, spinning in circles, telling yourself that going with the flow is a spiritual practice. It isn't. Going with the flow is what dead fish do. The real purpose of life, the Machiavellian purpose, is to build the dam. Machiavelli wrote that while the river is violent, it is not unstoppable. When the weather is calm, men of virtue build dikes and dams. They dig canals. They prepare, so that when the flood comes, and the flood always comes, the water is controlled. It doesn't destroy them, it powers their mills. Translate this to your Tuesday afternoon. The purpose of your life is not to find a job you love. It is to build a skill set, virtue, so undeniable that the market, fortuna, cannot ignore you. The purpose of your life is not to find a soulmate who completes you. It is to build a character so solid that you can endure the inevitable friction of intimacy without collapsing. The purpose of your life is not to be happy. It is to be formidable. You feel lost because you have no defenses. You haven't built the dikes. You haven't dug the canals. You have spent your life trying to pray the river away. You have spent your energy wishing for better luck instead of building better skills. This is why you feel fragile. Because you are fragile. A man of virtue doesn't ask for an easy life. He asks for strong shoulders. He understands that the chaos of the world is not personal, it is raw material. Think about the most difficult situation you are facing right now. The thing that keeps you awake. Your approach has been to worry about it, to wish it was different, to ask why me. The Machiavellian approach is cold and clinical. It looks at the situation and asks, where is the leverage? It asks, what can I control? It asks, how do I turn this disaster into an advantage? This is the shift. This is the psychological intervention. You need to stop viewing yourself as a character in a tragedy and start viewing yourself as a commander in a campaign. The campaign is against entropy. It is against the natural tendency of things to fall apart. Your purpose is to impose your form upon the world. Every time you exercise when you are tired, you are conquering fortuna, your body's decay, with virtue, your will. Every time you learn a new skill instead of watching TV, you are conquering fortuna, economic uncertainty, with virtue, competence. Every time you set a boundary instead of staying silent, you are conquering fortuna, social pressure, with virtue, self-respect. It is not a mystical journey. It is a mechanical conquest. You have been waiting to be inspired. But inspiration is just another form of luck. It is fickle. It comes and goes. Virtue does not wait for inspiration. It acts because it must. It acts because the alternative, drowning, is unacceptable. The foundation is set. You are either the architect of the dam, or you are the debris in the flood. There is no third option. It would be easy to stop here and say you are just a victim of bad programming. It would be kind to say that society tricked you, that your parents raised you to be too nice, and that it's not your fault. But we agreed not to comfort. We agreed to confront. The uncomfortable truth, the one you are scrolling away from, the one you hide from in the bottom of a wine glass or a video game, is that you are not trapped. You are hiding. You fall for the happiness lie, the be yourself lie, the karma lie, for one very specific, very dark reason. It absolves you of responsibility. Think about the weight of what Machiavelli asks of you. To possess virtue is to take total ownership of your outcome. It means if you are broke, it is your failure of strategy. If you are lonely, it is your failure of social value. If you are disrespected, it is your failure of boundary enforcement. That weight is crushing. It is terrifying. So you choose the alternative. You choose the good person alibi. You tell yourself, I'm not rich because I'm not greedy like them. I'm not the boss because I'm not a sociopath like him. I'm alone because people these days are shallow. Do you feel that? Do you feel that warm, sticky blanket of self-righteousness wrapping around you? It feels good, doesn't it? It turns your failure into a virtue. It turns your incompetence into morality. This is why you stay in the pattern. This is why you fall for it. You have become addicted to the luxury of helplessness. When you are the victim, you are the center of attention. You get to complain. You get to call your friends and have them say, "Oh my God, that's so unfair, you poor thing." You get the dopamine hit of validation without the adrenaline cost of risk. You prefer to be a noble loser than a dirty winner. Because to win, to actually fulfill the real purpose of life, you have to risk the one thing you are protecting above all else, your ego. If you try to play the game, if you try to negotiate, if you try to lead, if you try to assert power, and you fail, you have no excuses left. You can't blame the system. You can't blame your boss. You have to look in the mirror and see that you simply weren't good enough. And that is the terror that keeps you paralyzed. You would rather stay in the cage of niceness and dream about flying than step off the ledge and find out you don't have wings. The happiness doctrine is the perfect drug for this fear. It tells you that you are perfect just as you are. It tells you that you don't need to change. The world needs to change. It tells you that your feelings are facts. It is a pacifier for adults. And you suck on it because the alternative is picking up a sword. Machiavelli didn't write for people who wanted to be safe. He wrote for people who wanted to matter. And deep down, the part of you that is still alive, the part that clicked on this title, knows that safety is a coffin. You are bored. You are bored of your own excuses. You are bored of the repetitive script of your complaints. You are bored of being the nice guy or the nice girl who gets walked on. But you are falling for the trap because you haven't calculated the cost of your inaction. You think doing nothing costs nothing. You think staying in your comfort zone is free. Wrong. The cost is your self-respect. Every time you swallow your truth to keep the peace, you kill a little bit of your virtue. Every time you blame Fortuna for your lack of preparation, you make yourself smaller. You are trading your life for an illusion of safety. You are like a man who refuses to leave a burning building because he's afraid he might trip on the stairs. The fire is real. The burning building is your life passing you by. The stairs are the risks you need to take. You fall for the lie because the lie demands nothing of you. The truth demands everything. You have to decide, right now, if you want to be good or if you want to be effective. You cannot be both in the way you understand them. The good person you think you are is just a scared child hoping no one yells at them. The effective person you need to become is a grown adult who accepts that conflict is the price of existence. Stop hiding behind your morality. It's not morality. It's cowardice wearing a tuxedo. Let's zoom in. Let's look at the specific mechanism you are using to lose. You have an obsession with being yourself. You have this modern, romantic idea that you have a static identity, like a fingerprint, and that your job is to project that identity into the world 24/7. You say things like, "I'm just a straight shooter," or "I don't play games," or "I wear my heart on my sleeve." You wear these phrases like badges of honor. Machiavelli looks at you and sees a dead man walking. He introduces the concept of the lion and the fox. This is the first deep dive into the operational side of your purpose. He wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves." Your problem is that you are rigid. You are a one-trick pony in a circus of shapeshifters. If you are always the lion, always aggressive, always loud, always demanding respect, you eventually step into a trap. You yell at the wrong person. You make a scene that makes you look unstable. You think you are projecting strength, but you are just painting a target on your back for the quiet strategists to take you down. If you are always the fox, always scheming, always indirect, always polite and maneuvering, you eventually get cornered by a wolf. You smile and lie and dodge. But when the moment comes for a direct confrontation, when someone actually physically or professionally backs you against a wall, you fold. You have no teeth. But here is the brutal reality. You are probably neither. You are the lamb. You wander through life hoping that if you are harmless enough, the wolves won't eat you and the traps won't catch you. You think your authenticity is a shield. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world. You are in a salary negotiation. This is a moment that determines your resource level for the next year. The authentic you, the lamb, goes in and says, "I've worked really hard, and I feel like I deserve a raise because inflation is high and I'm stressed." You are appealing to their pity. You are showing your belly. The result? They give you a 2% adjustment and tell you budgets are tight. You walk out thankful for the scraps. Now, look at the lion. The lion goes in and slams the desk. "I am the best worker here. If you don't pay me double, I walk." The boss sees a threat. The boss sees an ego that needs to be checked. They might pay you to shut you up, but they immediately start looking for your replacement. You stepped in the trap. Now, look at the Machiavellian master, the one who understands the real purpose. They enter as the fox. They have already gathered intel. They know what the competitor is paying. They know the boss is under pressure to deliver a specific project. They sit down. They smile. They are calm. Then they switch to the lion. They look the boss in the eye and say, "I can deliver this project that saves you. But the market rate for that execution is X. I want to help you win, but I need X to justify it." Gentle delivery. Brutal leverage. They use the fox to find the leverage and the lion to apply it. This is what you are missing. You treat your personality as a religion instead of a toolkit. You feel fake if you change your approach. You feel manipulative if you withhold information. You feel mean if you are cold. Get over it. The real purpose of life is effective action. Sometimes effective action requires you to be the warmest, most empathetic listener in the room, fox. Sometimes it requires you to be the coldest, most uncompromising force of nature, lion. If you cannot switch, you are predictable. And in the laws of power, being predictable is a death sentence. Think about the people you admire. The real ones, not the fake influencers. The people who actually command a room. Watch them closely. They are never just one thing. They can joke with the janitor and terrify the board of directors in the same hour. They are fluid. They adapt to the terrain. You, however, are stuck in your brand. You are the funny one, or the nice one, or the quiet one. You have trapped yourself in a caricature. This is why you fail to find purpose. Because purpose requires you to interact with the world, and the world is constantly changing. If the world changes and you don't, you break. You need to kill the idea that being fake is a sin. Adaptability is intelligence. Rigidity is stupidity. The lion does not apologize for its claws. The fox does not apologize for its stealth. And you need to stop apologizing for doing what is necessary to survive. You are addicted to a currency that is worthless in a crisis. You wake up every day and you trade your time, your energy, and your truth for one specific thing: approval. You want to be liked. You want to be the cool boss. You want to be the chill partner. You want to be the easygoing friend. You believe that if you pile up enough, like coins, you can cash them in for safety. You think that if everyone loves you, no one will hurt you. Machiavelli looks at this strategy and laughs. He gives us one of the most famous and most misunderstood lines in history. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. He didn't mean you should be a tyrant. He didn't mean you should terrorize your family. He meant that love is fickle. He wrote that love is held by a chain of obligation which, because men are wicked, is broken at every opportunity for their own self-interest. But fear is preserved by a dread of punishment which never fails. Let's translate this out of 16th century Italian and into your life. Fear, in a modern, civilized context, translates to respect. It translates to consequence. The reason you feel powerless is that you have built your life on the shifting sand of being loved. Look at the nice manager. They want their team to love them. They let people slide on deadlines. They don't give harsh feedback. They laugh at inappropriate jokes to be one of the guys. What happens when the pressure hits? The team doesn't step up. They slack off. They know there are no consequences. The nice manager gets fired because they were too busy being a friend to be a leader. Now look at the respected manager. They are fair, but they are firm. If you miss a deadline, there is a conversation that makes you sweat. You don't joke around with them. But when they give you a compliment, you feel it in your bones. When they lead, you follow. You might not love them like a drinking buddy, but you trust them to steer the ship. You are terrified of not being loved because you think love equals safety. But the opposite is true. When you rely on being loved, you hand the leash of your life to other people. You are constantly scanning their faces. Are they happy? Did I annoy them? Do they still like me? You become a slave to their emotional state. If they are in a bad mood, your day is ruined. If they disapprove of your new hobby, you quit. You have no center of gravity. The real purpose of life requires you to sever this chain. You need to become comfortable with the idea that you will be disliked. In fact, you should view being disliked as a KPI, key performance indicator. If nobody dislikes you, it means you aren't standing for anything. It means you aren't changing anything. It means you are invisible. The moment you start pursuing your real purpose, whether that's building a business, getting in shape, or speaking your truth, people will react. Some will love it, but the ones who are benefiting from your weakness, they will hate it. They will call you selfish. They will call you arrogant. They will say you've changed. And if you are still addicted to being loved, those words will break you. You will apologize. You will shrink back down to the size that makes them comfortable. But if you understand the Machiavellian truth, you will see their anger for what it is, proof of concept. Their resistance means you are finally exerting force on the world. You have to choose. Do you want to be a golden retriever, or do you want to be a wolf? Everyone loves the golden retriever. They pet it. They call it a good boy. But the golden retriever has no agency. It goes where the master says. It eats when the master says. The wolf is not loved in the same way. The wolf is respected. The wolf has boundaries. The wolf feeds itself. You are empty because you are a wolf trying to wear a golden retriever costume. You are smothering your own nature to get head pats from people who don't even respect you. Stop trying to buy loyalty with niceness. It doesn't work. Start building loyalty through competence, through boundaries, and through the willingness to walk away. Fear means they know you have options. Fear means they know you won't tolerate disrespect. Fear means they know that losing you would actually cost them something. That is the only love that lasts. Everything else is just polite exploitation. You are clinging to a phrase that has been weaponized to keep you weak. You hear it and you shudder. You think it belongs to dictators and supervillains. The ends justify the means. You have been taught that this is the slogan of evil. You have been taught that the journey is more important than the destination. You have been taught that it matters more how you played the game than whether you won or lost. This is the morality of the spectator. This is the logic of the person sitting in the stands, criticizing the athlete on the field. Machiavelli didn't say, "Do evil." He said, "In the actions of all men, when there is no impartial arbiter, one must consider the final result." Here is the uncomfortable truth about the real purpose of life. The world judges you by what you build, not by what you intended to build. You are obsessed with your own purity. You are paralyzed by the fear of doing something wrong or unfair or impolite. So you do nothing. You preserve your moral purity, but you produce zero value. Let's look at the morality of results in a way that actually hurts. Imagine a surgeon. Surgeon A is a wonderful person. He holds the patient's hand. He prays with the family. He has the best intentions in the world. But he's timid. He hesitates during the operation because he's afraid of making a mistake. The patient dies. Surgeon B is arrogant. He's cold. He doesn't talk to the family. He treats his nurses like tools. But when he cuts, he is precise. He is ruthless with the scalpel. He removes the tumor. The patient lives. Who was more moral? In your imagined republic, you want to say Surgeon A was a better man. But in the effective truth, Surgeon B is the savior. Surgeon B fulfilled the purpose. Surgeon A is just a nice man with a dead patient. This is the shift you need to make. Incompetence is the only true sin. You are telling yourself that your lack of success is proof of your virtue. I'm not rich because I'm not a shark. I'm not famous because I'm not a sellout. Stop. You are using morality as a shield for your incompetence. You are using process to hide from result. You spend weeks planning the perfect workout routine, researching the perfect diet, buying the perfect gear. You feel productive. You feel good. But you haven't done a single push-up. The guy who just eats less and lifts heavy rocks in his backyard has a better result. He has the end. You just have the means. Machiavelli teaches that if the result is good, if the state is secure, if the family is fed, if the business survives, the methods used to achieve it are often forgiven or forgotten. This doesn't mean you go out and commit crimes. It means you stop letting minor scruples prevent major victories. It means you fire the toxic employee even if they cry. Because the end, protecting the team, justifies the mean, causing temporary pain. It means you cut off the family member who drains your finances. Because the end, your survival, justifies the mean, being cold. You are walking around with clean hands, but your pockets are empty. You are proud of the fact that you never stepped on anyone's toes, but you have nowhere to stand. The real purpose of life is creation. It is production. It is leaving a mark on reality. And reality is hard. Reality resists you. To carve your name into reality, you have to use a chisel. You have to hit it. You have to make dust. You are afraid of the dust. You want to build a house without cutting down any trees. It is impossible. If you want to find your purpose, stop looking at your intentions. Nobody cares about your intentions. I meant to call you. You didn't. I wanted to help. You didn't. I was going to start the business. You didn't. The graveyard of potential is filled with people who meant well. The only thing that remains, the only thing that is real, is what stands after the dust settles. Did you protect your family? Did you build the company? Did you master the skill? If the answer is yes, nobody asks if you were polite about it. If the answer is no, nobody cares how nice you were while you failed. Judge yourself by your outputs, not your inputs. That is the only scoreboard that matters. This is the act where you stop looking at the world and start looking in the mirror. And this reflection is going to be ugly. We need to destroy the biggest lie you tell yourself. It is the lie that sustains your entire identity. You tell yourself, I am a good person because I don't hurt anyone. You tell yourself, I am moral because I don't manipulate, I don't dominate, I don't seek power. Wrong. You are not virtuous. You are just harmless. There is a profound difference between being peaceful and being harmless, and you are on the wrong side of the equation. A rabbit is not virtuous because it doesn't eat the wolf. The rabbit cannot eat the wolf. Its nonviolence is not a moral choice. It is a biological limitation. It has no claws. It has no fangs. It is prey. You are walking through life as a rabbit, patting yourself on the back for not being a predator. Machiavelli would look at your life, your lack of boundaries, your fear of conflict, your hesitation to seize what you want, and he wouldn't call it goodness. He would call it impotence. The real purpose of life requires you to be capable of danger. Read that again. You think the purpose of life is to be as soft as possible. But a man who cannot do harm is not a good man. He is a weak man. A good man is a monster who has it under control. A good man is someone who has the capacity for havoc, the capacity for destruction, the capacity to absolutely ruin his enemy, and chooses not to. That is virtue. That is discipline. You don't have discipline because you don't have a sword. You are keeping your sword sheathed not because you are peaceful, but because you never forged one in the first place. This is why you are ignored. This is why you are disrespected. People can smell harmlessness. It has a scent. It smells like desperation. It smells like, please like me. When you walk into a room, nobody tenses up. Nobody thinks, I better be respectful to this person or there will be consequences. They think, oh, that's just name. I can interrupt them. I can cancel on them. It's fine. You have trained the world to treat you like furniture. And here is the darkest part of the mirror. Here is the shadow you are hiding. Because you are harmless, you are becoming bitter. You look at the people who have power, the people who take what they want, and you tell yourself you hate them. But deep down, in the shadow you refuse to acknowledge, you want to be them. Your niceness is a mask for your envy. You resent the boss not because he's a tyrant, but because he has the power you lack. You resent the toxic ex not because they were mean, but because they had the agency to leave and you didn't. If you were handed absolute power tomorrow, if you were given the money, the status, the immunity, would you really be the saint you think you are? Or would all that repressed anger, all that years of being a doormat, explode? Machiavelli warns that the most dangerous men are not the ones who are born powerful. The most dangerous men are the weak ones who suddenly get a taste of authority. They are petty. They are vindictive. They punish everyone for the years they spent being ignored. You are a ticking time bomb of resentment. The real purpose of life is not to stay in this state of impotent purity. It is to integrate the shadow. You need to find your teeth. You need to find your claws. You need to become someone who could be dangerous so that your kindness actually means something. Right now, your kindness is worthless because it is mandatory. You have no other option. But when a lion chooses to be gentle, that is valuable. That is respected. This is the mirror turn. You are not the hero of this story yet. You are the bystander. You are the extra who gets crushed when the plot starts moving. If you don't change this, if you don't start cultivating your own power, your own virtue, your own capacity for aggression, you will not end up as a happy, peaceful elder. You will end up as a bitter, invisible ghost, whispering about how unfair the world was to you. And the world won't even hear you. We have reached the end of the intervention. The scalpel is down. The wound is open. Now you have to decide what to do with the blood. You are standing on the bank of the river. You know what the river is now. It is Fortuna. It is the chaotic, indifferent, crushing force of time and circumstance. It has been eroding the ground beneath your feet your entire life. Up until this moment, you have been closing your eyes and pretending the sound of the rushing water was just the wind. You have been pretending you are safe. You are not safe. The river is rising. You have two choices, and there is no middle ground. There is no third option where you get to sort of try. Option A, you stay in the pattern. You close this video. You go back to your scrolling. You tell yourself, that was intense, but I'm okay. You go back to work tomorrow, and you smile when you want to scream. You say yes when you want to say no. You wait for permission to live. If you choose this, let me paint your future for you. It is not a tragedy. It is a slow, gray fade. You will grow older, but not stronger. You will become more fearful, not more wise. You will watch people with half your intelligence and half your talent surpass you, simply because they had the guts to play the game you refused to enter. You will die with your potential intact. You will be a pristine, unopened package that gets thrown into the incinerator. You will have been a good person, and you will be utterly forgotten. Option B, you declare war. You accept the Machiavellian truth. Life is not a playground. It is a campaign. You stop asking the universe for favors. You stop looking for your passion like it's a set of lost keys. You realize that purpose is not something you find. Purpose is something you forge. To choose this path, you must commit to the death of your old self. The you that needs to be liked must die. The you that is afraid of conflict must die. The you that plays the victim must die. You must become the architect of your own virtue. Step 1. Audit your weakness. Stop lying. Look at your life. Where are you bleeding power? Is it your finances? Your body? Your relationships? Identify the leak. That is not a problem. That is an enemy. Step 2. Build the dam. You don't fix it by manifesting. You fix it by mechanics. If you are weak physically, you build the dam of strength, training. If you are weak socially, you build the dam of influence, learning persuasion, learning to say no. If you are weak financially, you build the dam of resources, skills, not lottery tickets. Step 3. Embrace the cold. Stop expecting it to feel good. Building a dam in a raging river is wet, cold, miserable work. It is hard. It is lonely. The 99% will look at you and say, "Why are you working so hard?" Relax. Be happy. Ignore them. They are the ones who will drown when the flood comes. You are building the ark. The real purpose of life is to conquer Fortuna. It is to look at the chaos of existence, the sheer, terrifying randomness of it all, and say, I will impose my order upon this. It is the highest act of human rebellion. To take a life that is destined for decay and force it into a shape of your choosing. This is what Machiavelli wanted you to see. The prince is not a title you are given. It is a state of mind you seize. It is the realization that you are the only legitimate ruler of your own soul, but you have been letting the mob run the palace. Kick them out. Lock the gates. Sharpen the sword. The intervention is over. The narrative ends here. The screen is about to go black. And when it does, you will be left with the silence of your own room and the sound of the river. It is rising. Build.